Fabulous. And once more, for those of you who are just joining, I'm going to drop the Zoom link again if you would like to enable closed captions for the call. And then I will hand it on over to Emily to welcome everybody in.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to start off this call by saying, wow, we made it through 3 months of no new clothes. A big round of applause for everyone who took the challenge. And last month, so many of you told us that you would be willing to keep the challenge going. So I want to know who's in. You can react using one of your Zoom reactions or drop a plus sign in the chat if you're willing to keep the challenge going. We would love to have you. This year was one of the largest No New Clothes challenges yet, and we're so proud that so many of you took part in this journey with us. We're going to hear from a few of our challenge takers on today's call. This is the 5th year of the No New Clothes challenge, which is a little hard to believe, but over the last 5 years, together over 8,187 challenge takers have preserved over 31,000 liters of blue water, prevented 2 million kilograms of CO2 emissions, prevented 73,000 kilograms of waste, and saved over 23,000 US dollars. Your commitment has made a massive, massive difference. And we've also heard from so many of you that the No New Clothes Challenge is the exact jumping off point that you needed in order to make this a lifestyle change that lasts you a lifetime. So because we found that the No New Clothes Challenge was making such an impact on so many people, last year we made the decision to keep the challenge rolling all year round. So you can actually now take the No New Clothes Challenge with Remake anytime throughout the year, because from personal experience, I always recommend newcomers to the sustainable fashion movement start out that work with a 90-day No New Clothes challenge. It's often just the thing that we need to get started. And the reality is that our journey can begin at really any time. Now, today we are going to be joined by 5 incredible Remake ambassadors from around the world who are here to share with you how they lived in No New Clothes these last few months. But we do want to hear from all of you. How did the No New Clothes Challenge impact you? We're dropping a line in the chat so you can share your No New Clothes testimonial with us. We've received a few from you already. Caitlin writes, I often think of the impulse to buy as a muscle that we exercise every time we engage in or contemplate purchasing. When brands advertise and encourage excessive consumption, we feel that muscle twitch, and our muscle memory leads us to follow the impulse almost robotically. But No New Clothes stopped me not only in that act of purchasing, but also in the desire to purchase. It's a vital step for anyone looking not only to adjust their attitude toward clothing, but a step toward a more sustainable lifestyle and consumption and living. We love that. We love to hear that. And we hope that you all will share your testimonials with us as well. Erica writes, I have been conscious of my clothing consumption habits for the last few years, but this was one of the first times I tracked my habits. This challenge encouraged me to mend some of my favorite shirts and darn a few pairs of socks that I've been wanting to fix. Oh, I love to hear that as well, too. And I think we'll hear some more stories about the ways that No New Clothes encouraged us not only to just not shop, but also to keep clothing in circulation for longer from our panelists today. I'm going to give a welcome to our panelists. If you could please wave as we call your name. We are joined by Lio and Summer, who are dialing in from Paris. It's so good to see you. We're joined by Kavita, who is dialing in from India, and Victoria and Yesenia, who are dialing in from New York. Thank you both for being here. I'm going to start with our framing a question to our whole panel today. I would love to hear how the No New Clothes Challenge impacted you. Did it shape your personal style? Did it help you with a mindset shift? Did it make you feel more creative? And Victoria, I see you on my screen first, so we'll start with you.
Okay, it works. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So to answer your question, Emily, the No New Clothes Challenge has both challenged me and excited me both at the same time. I've always loved fashion since I was 7 years old and always went into design and drawing sketches. And there was one point where I looked into reselling, which was a really good experience because it got me into sustainable fashion. And what I've learned from challenging myself is learning where to find the right places for not only sourcing, so for example, as an upcycler, but also if you need to buy clothes and accessories, especially because a lot of the materials for clothes have purposefully been made, and I'm talking about fashion companies where they are supposed to be disposable, but there's so many uses they can be used for when upcycling or if you need to mend them. And yeah, if it's been a couple years, there are some ways that it can be recycled into new material, which is really cool. And that's something I've learned as well. And to this day, when designing clothes, I've been working to help improve myself on finding the right sources for fabric, especially. So instead of regular fabric that you find at a store, you can find dead stock fabric because dead stock fabric is technically recycled fabric. So that's a little bit of my experience in the No News Clothes Challenge. And I'm gonna work to try to continue the challenge as a result. So yeah.
So exciting. Summer and Lio, how did the No New Clothes Challenge impact you this year?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us and good morning. It's 6 p.m. here, so good evening from us. Yeah, I would say it's been an interesting year for me because I haven't been the type of person to like buy new clothes a lot. I tend to thrift a lot, and thrifting like quickly became an addiction for me the past 5 or so years. And in January of this year, I like told myself, I'm not going to thrift anymore. I'm just going to try to buy nothing. Like even when I go to the thrift store and it's really enticing to just really try to stay away from that. And I quickly noticed that I started to feel like a deep sense of gratitude from buying no new clothes. And I feel like it's because of the whole idea behind consumption is to make us feel like we're not enough and to make us feel like we constantly need more and more in order to catch up with the rest of society and to feel like we're enough. And when you kind of disengage from that whole mentality, you start to feel like a deep sense of appreciation for yourself and your life. And yeah, the past like 6 months, I've just been feeling so much gratitude and it has just come out of nowhere. And I have less clothes like than ever before, which is so interesting. And I've been wearing my friends' clothes more than ever, and my family's clothes, and I'm better at sewing than ever before. So yeah, I just feel like a deep sense of gratitude for myself, and I feel more confident than ever. So yeah, it's not even just like the sustainability aspect and the climate aspect of it all. It's really just like disengaging from the whole mentality of feeling like you're not enough and the fashion industry making you constantly feel like you're not enough. So that's been my experience.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having us. What you say really resonates with me, and I think I really tie it down to like developing a personal sense of style. Because the first time I took the No New Clothes challenge is when I started to realize that I could do my own thing, let's say, that I didn't really have to follow the trends and look like the advertisement that I was finding on the stores, but that I could get creative and just wear whatever I felt like wearing. And this year, I've been becoming more adventurous with my style and with the projects that I take on. Like, I've been embracing the DIY culture a lot. And I got started with block printing. We have been doing a lot of bedazzling also, which has been really fun. So the challenge overall, I feel like has made me a more creative person and has made me rediscover some of the clothes that I didn't even remember I had in my wardrobe. I found this one piece that I had like for over 10 years, and I had not seen it in the last 4 years. So it was really nice to wear it again and be like, oh, also like remembering who I was when I purchased that garment. So yeah, overall more creative and yeah, having more
Yeah.
fun with my clothing.
Also, like when we left on this trip, when we were packing, Lio found a pair of like old pants in his closet, and he was like, "Oh, I need a pair of shorts." So he just like quickly cut them into a pair of shorts.
Shorts
And it
ready
was
to go.
Yeah.
Kavita, what about you? How has no new clothes impacted you?
Oh, it's a beautiful journey. This is my fourth consecutive year that I'm doing it. Now, I started in 2021, and for a 390 days is the fourth year, consecutive year. Although I had started my journey much before I joined Remake a World, but 90 days, first time when I started was a very, very challenging thing to do. So the first year when I did, I tried to upcycle. I also told myself it's okay to thrift. So I was doing thrifting the first year and did a lot of upcycling. Second year, slightly reduced on thrifting and kept my upcycling. And because, it was the second time. Third time, no thrifting at all. I gave up even on thrifting. I said, I will not even buy thrifting, no purchases. But, I kept buying some accessories kind of things. This year, zero buying. So it's like, growing up. So it's challenging myself. And after I completed the 90 days, I'm still keeping it on for the September also, just doing the thrifting in this month. For September is all about secondhand clothing. So continuing with that journey and just loving it.
We love to hear that. And last but not least, Yesenia, I'd love to hear how no new clothes impacted you.
Well, thank you for having me, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and good evening to the two that are at 6 p.m. So for me, the challenge was very refreshing. I really enjoyed really looking at my wardrobe in a different perspective, because putting the word challenge on it is what made it very powerful, impactful for me on my everyday dress. And also it extended into two areas of my life. One was how I was connecting with others, because I was sharing with others the fact that I was doing this, and I didn't keep it to myself. I was sharing with others that this was happening, sharing with others about what Remake had going on and how they could participate. So it brought up more inspirations on how I could be a bit more, for myself, connected in my styling. The other area was my son. I have a 10-year-old, and he was going back to school. And this year, a bulk of what I purchased for him came right on eBay from eBay lots. And we found some really great things. And that's something that was not in the forefront of my mind. It was something that if I couldn't find what I needed, I would get it from offline or find it. But this time it became the first thing that we did was see what we could source secondhand, and then we supported it with new things after. So it was very refreshing.
I'm so glad to hear that the No New Clothes Challenge had such a positive impact on everyone here. And as I said, we're dropping the link in the chat. We would love to hear your personal No New Clothes story. If any other ambassadors on our call today would like to share their story. Lio, I know this is not your first year doing the No New Clothes Challenge, and that you live this challenge because you connect deeply to the mission behind it and why it matters. Last year, you even created a beautiful upcycled tapestry to remind people of the importance of coming together to center garment workers in the conversation of sustainable fashion. So I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about why this mission resonates with you so deeply and what motivates you to take part in the No New Clothes Challenge year over year.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. So, as Jasenia was just saying, I feel like the No New Clothes Challenge is a conversation starter. And I like to take part in it every year because I think it starts that conversation of like letting people know what are the issues in the fashion industry and how the fashion industry affects so many lives around the world. And when I first took it, I did it because I was feeling very moved by the stories of garment workers that were facing exploitation in the global south. And I think it's a very powerful way to move through the world, just by betraying all of these systems of exploitation and working against the oppression, I feel. So I feel like taking the challenge is precisely moving away from all of these ideas that continue to perpetuate the capitalism and unregulation that is happening in the fashion industry. And yeah, that's basically why I like to take it every year, just to continue to build community and to spread awareness about what is happening so that people feel compelled to take action as well. And it feels great, honestly. Not only at a personal level, as Summer was saying, like really feeling better with yourself and just understanding that you don't have to comply with any idea from a marketing ad or expert, but also like understanding that you are part of a movement that is making change with personal action that then translates into systemic change.
Love that so much. And I know you and Summer have gotten up some really fun upcycling this No New Clothes season. So I'd love to hear about the ways that the both of you, Summer and Lyle both, are bringing joy into the challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like having friends who also care about this movement, and are happy to be a part of it makes it so much easier and so much more fun. And I feel like our friendship is full of so much joy. So like we just want to spread that as much as possible. And so yeah, we've been holding some events in New York the past few weeks when I was in town. We had a bedazzling event where we had people bring any old piece of clothing or any piece of fabric or any tote bag or anything that they just wanted to update or give a new life to. And we provided all of the bedazzling supplies and we played some nostalgic movies, and it felt like very nostalgic, almost like a summer camp vibe. And it's just amazing, all of the great conversation that comes from when people just join together and are like working with their hands. And we made so many new friends and everyone was mingling and talking amongst themselves. And it was just so joyful. And I feel like joy is what keeps this movement going, truly, because these systems are so depressing and so overwhelming that we really need to just sustain it with joy and love. And that's all I want to contribute to this movement as much as possible. So yeah, and then Lio also hosted a block printing event the week prior. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think the whole idea of sustainability is to have fun, and I think that is better when you're doing it with community. For me, like sustainability and more precisely sustainable fashion is like bringing your inner child out and just having like playful time with people. So when we hosted the block printing event, it just felt like that. Like we were just enjoying the time with our clothes, like just letting our creativity free. And I think that's the most beautiful part of like coming together to craft, because you just feel like you're a child again and that you can do whatever. Like it's very freeing. So yeah.
Also, like the fashion industry, I feel has over time made us feel very helpless. Like we can't do things ourselves. I think growing up, like I never thought I could be the person that could like mend clothes or upcycle clothes or do all these crafty things. I always just thought I had to go buy a new piece of clothing when something broke. So yeah, it's very empowering. I've never felt so empowered to make my own clothes in my life. It's so fun.
I love hearing you all talk about the sense of community. I feel like for so many of us within the remake space, this is something that I feel I very much get out of being a part of our movement. And I'm so glad to hear that others feel the same. Kavita, I'd love to hear from you how you inspire other people in your life to take part in No New Clothes, and if you have any advice for others who want to help champion the No New Clothes movement to other people around them.
Okay, thanks, Emily. Inspiring others to take part in the No New Clothes challenge can be an empowering experience, you know. I know it because I have done it since I'm a sustainable fashion coach myself. And I have my own community of people and I have inspired them to be a part of it already. So your first part of the question is, how do I inspire others? Simple things like lead by example. So I practice it myself, and then when I tell them that I have been practicing it for 4 years, it's got a kind of a credibility to it, and they completely latch onto it, the new idea. And I also often show them how easy and fulfilling it is to rework on what's already there, in my wardrobe. I show it to them how things can be upcycled. It's cool to shop secondhand, especially because in India, secondhand shopping is still not very popular. Even renting for that matter, because there are lots of myths attached with thrifting and renting. People would not like to buy it. So when I talk about thrifting and renting instead of buying new clothes, it kind of sparks a curiosity in them. And that opens up the door for the conversation. They ask me, oh, is it how to do it, where to do it? Because it's still what you call emerging industry, thrifting and renting in India. Next thing that I do is by storytelling. That's it's nothing but sharing my personal experience, explain them how wardrobe or lifestyle or even the mindset, my mindset was before I started, my taking the journey, and how it has changed now, how I feel lighter now, not just in my wardrobe, but also in my head, even in my pocket, how I feel lighter. So this, by sharing these kind of storytellings with them, I'm indirectly also telling them the benefits of taking up the challenge. Right. And your second part of question was how the conversations go. Yes. Okay. Having an absolutely non-judgmental approach is very, very important when I take it up. Not pushing the idea too much. Instead, sharing an exciting personal journey with them, which will inspire them to take it and invite them to try it out without. It's very important to make them try it out without making anybody feeling guilty about their past choices that they have made. Right? Because it's not easy. I know it myself, how difficult it is for each one of us to remain on this journey for a very, very long time. So it's very important to give them time to think over it. And next thing that I do is emphasizing on their personal benefits. Instead of talking about firstly, what environmental effects it has got, first, what benefits they are going to get, how they're going to explore their own new styles, how they can experiment with their own creativity, and how it's going to be, lighter on their pocket, showing them this and then telling them, it's just changing the mindset, and this actually tends to resonate better than focusing solely on the environmental concerns and talking about that. I also ask them to start small, take small steps at a time. For my community people, I sometimes encourage them to start with a short-term goal of maybe 1 month, and then try it out how you feel, and then so that they don't feel overwhelmed when they think about 3 months. 3 months is a first timers, it could be a little difficult, and same thing again, telling them about my story, what I did for the first year. And, so this is how I keep them engaged, and then tell them about myself. First year, what I did, second year, what I did, explaining to them and making them understand and showing them small steps, gradual progress will definitely encourage them to take up. So this has been my, what you call strategy to, have a conversation with them. And I'm happy to say that I actually encouraged my own community people. 5 of them took it up along with me this time. My students, my community people. And because I invited them to be with me, have a conversation with me whenever they're finding something difficult, or sharing ideas with among ourselves. Like it's like creating a group, our own self group, to be on this journey. So it was suggesting doing it together is the best thing I feel than just leaving them alone, and to be because I know how difficult it is to be on this journey alone.
What a wonderful coaching mentality. And that's the ripple effect right there. You've now inspired so many others to embark on this journey as well. Likewise, Yesenia is spreading the message of no new clothes to others. You are a costume designer, and you very intentionally call yourself a wardrobe utilization specialist rather than a stylist, because you have a goal of helping people address their personal sense of style with what they have rather than shopping for new. So I would love to hear how you help your clients shift their mindset around the impulse to buy new and realize that what they have might suit their needs.
Definitely. So I honestly, with my clients, I take the similar approach to Kavita in that non-judgmental small steps. So it's really just taking a step to see how do they interact with their wardrobe, see where that relationship has really broken down, and start to do the small work for them to see their wardrobe as an opportunity for self-expression without any of the negative thought process or connotations that come with it. And to push it into the wider community, I kind of looked at things doing clothing swaps for a few years. I saw how there was a little bit of a what's the secondhand stigma. So it was like we had a fashion waste and clothing insecurity, and doing a clothing swap was really only interacting with those who had fashion waste issues, but those who had clothing insecurity issues didn't feel like they could interact with that environment because they had nothing to contribute. So this year we launched the Drip Drop and Pick a Fit events. The Drip Drop is literally just for us to collect any fashions in the community that are not wanted or unused, gently used rather. And the Pick a Fit, literally, we just give it away to the community. And we're able to have educational information there at those times. I speak to the community, engage with others about their wardrobe, and I do the educational piece. So I forget, someone mentioned about how the fashion industry is doing that mental manipulation. We talk about that. We talk about the consumer decision-making process, where the fashion industry marketing and promotions interfere with our decision making. We talk about cost per wear. How do we increase our wardrobe's cost per wear, getting the most from our dollars? We also talk about wardrobe utilization rate. What is a healthy wardrobe utilization rate? How can we get there? And then another thing is that, I just recently came up with a journal. It's a 12-month something that people can take at their own pace. And it's something that they can do if they don't want to work with someone and they feel like it's too personal. Having someone in their home, this tool can help those individuals and still get great advice, great information, as well as sustainable styling resources, podcasts, apps, as well as websites. So it just kind of starting with the clothing swaps, working with individuals, the work is now pushed into the community and how we can educate and support each other with our unique expressions.
I just wanted
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Productions. I just wanted to speak. I do product with the costume design part. You mentioned that. It's the sustainability and the design thinking. So where are we sourcing it? What do we absolutely need to have on hand? And then what are we going to do with it after? It becomes just a little more streamlined in the sustainability thinking, keeping things out of storage unit.
I just wanted to tell our speakers, because I know sometimes it can be hard to see in the chat, but you're inspiring so much ripple effect just within our community. Folks are saying, I love this idea for that community event. I want to create my own tapestry like Lio did. And so you are having the ripple effect right here on the call today. Victoria, I'll come to you now. When you first heard of the No New Clothes Challenge, were you excited or were you challenged by the prospect of taking it on? And what have you learned from the experience that you think will stick with you in the long run?
Of course. So I know I talked a little bit about it in the beginning of this panel, and I'm absolutely very passionate as a fashion designer and in fashion, sustainable fashion especially. I as a combination of both, I was definitely excited, and I took it as a challenge, especially when trying to find more sustainable ways to source materials, especially because as a designer, when you're always looking at materials when you're making something, whether it's a shirt, pants, or even a dress, you're always, yes, there are plentiful amount of resources, but what matters is how you get them. And that's what I've learned, especially when I started reselling in college. I only did it for a little bit, and now I mainly focus on design. So when I looked into that, I realized how much, when looking at where something is manufactured, if you're sourcing something as materials and you need to look at the manufacturing information for it, that is as important as when you buy a piece of clothing, because it's that similar cycle. And in fact, it's the same cycle. So that's one thing I've learned, especially, and still to this day, if I make a dress for a client or a friend or even for myself, I have to remember that. And sometimes it can be difficult based on the request, but finding the right sources, especially when it's dead stock fabric or thrifted material that can be made into fabric, that is a huge deal. And one thing I also realized is, so this is kind of unfortunate to think about, the amount of fast fashion clothing that has been made, the fact that it's like, please correct me if I'm wrong, up to 6 generations amount that can be owned by each individual person, that is insane. And so looking at when I upcycled, I remember I made a dress for graduation one time, and it took at least 7 to 8 pieces of regular clothing just to make that one dress from previous secondhand materials or materials that I've had over the years. And I mention this because I noticed when upcycling, to see how much is used and the type of material that's used, that is a huge deal, especially when you see where that material was originally sold prior to being thrifted, prior to being bought secondhand, and prior to being upcycled. So that is the one thing I wanted to mention as well, because that is something I had a huge realization about. And to this day, I still am learning more through that realization. And that this challenge, as a result, this is my 2nd year doing this challenge. By the way, I've been able to grow more and learn more as a result in creating more. And so, yeah.
I love that the challenge inspired your creativity and that you've been keeping it up for 2 years. As a final question that I'd love to put out to all of our panelists, I would love to hear how you plan to carry out the mission of No New Clothes beyond just this 3 months. How will you take it forward? So, Summer, I'll turn it over to you first.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest, like the greatest joys that I've experienced this year is learning how to sew. And I think I'm going to continue to do that through the rest of the year. I just upcycled a dress a few weeks ago at my mom's house, and it was so satisfying. I felt like my whole focus was on this dress, like for 2 whole days, and it was so much fun. So I think I'm going to continue doing that, continuing to learn how to sew. I recently came into contact with this woman in Los Angeles who reached out to me, and she told me that her 90-year-old mother was a seamstress her entire life, and she was moving her out of her retirement home, and she had like buckets and buckets and buckets of old fabrics. And it just felt like she reached out to me at the perfect time, like right when I was learning how to sew and like getting into all of my upcycling. So now I have piles and piles of upcycled vintage fabrics. So I'm excited to get into that, and that's keeping me away from the thrift store right now.
Yeah, for me, I'll continue living the mission of the No New Clothes Challenge by continue to build community and continues extending solidarity to garment workers around the world. I think that is the most important aspect of the challenge for me. And I think in the months to come, I will love to continue hosting events like the one we did with Summer, where people can have an introduction to a new skill and can break off of that fear of doing something with their hands. So I think I'll continue to upcycle, I'll continue to bedazzle because it's my new favorite thing. And I'll continue to invite people to do just the same and to continue having conversations about how we can make the fashion industry a better industry for all.
How about you, Yesenia? How will you carry No New Clothes forward?
I'm so actually very excited to hear that the No New Clothes Challenge will be a at-will challenge now. I've been putting it out there to some people in my network and tagging people in some of my posts about the challenge to say, hey, maybe you should take it next. So incorporating the community, bringing them into it and making them feel like it's theirs as well. For those who have been watching my experience over the last 3 months, also continuing to do these events. We have another round of events coming up in October for our focusing on costumes as well as clothes. So at that event, talking about how they can make their own challenge for those who are on the cusp. So focusing on that would also be the next thing. And then similar to Summer, I decided with some inspiration from the internet and some wonderful items I saw at events to start to get into making my own.
You have your extra care card. Please scan it now.
So that. Okay.
Sorry, Yesenia, you're muted now.
Oh, right. So those are the ways. So that would be the last way, is to bring it deeper into my own wardrobe, to get some of those personalized expressions, not from something manufactured or thought up from someone else, but for my own self, doing it myself, and then having to learn with others in the community that know how to do it. It's going to be, again, more connection, more opportunities for people to see how much we can make an impact together and the beautiful expressions that come out of it.
I love that. Victoria, how will you keep No New Clothes going beyond these 3 months?
Beyond these 3 months for No New Clothes, I mentioned the emoji. I was giving a huge applause for everyone that's here, just so you know. So the thing that I'm looking to do for the next 3 months, and this is something for a year or two, is making different upcycled projects consistently. I've taken a little bit of a break recently from sewing and everything in the past due to health reasons. Thankfully, I recovered. But to start back up again, I want to do a challenge where for a certain amount of days, I use clothing or materials that I bought from a secondhand store, thrift store, or even a dead stock fabric store, and just do different outfits and projects. There are a few outfits and projects I've been in the works of, have been planning and working on doing for these past couple years. Some I started, haven't gotten the chance to finish, and then others I have yet to start. I just need to figure out what materials to use that are secondhand or anything that is not new, because just to make sure that nothing is wasted, and if there's anything that can't be used, then I can find a way to recycle it as well. So that's what my plan is, for not just for the next 3 months, but also for the next year too. And I feel like with this challenge for myself, and I've seen a few other people in the comments say it has become second nature. Like, I don't I remember as a kid, my mom and my siblings and I, we would used to go to Target every summer just to see what their clothes were. But little did we know then what was going on behind the scenes. And now that we know, now that we're older, we don't really go to Target anymore to buy stuff because just to see what's been going on. And it's not just Target, but it's like, it's so many other companies, big name companies too. And as a result of that, just being aware and being mindful is definitely going to potentially save somebody's life as well. And that's one thing I wanted to mention too. So that is my plan for the next year, 3 months to a year. And I plan to continue doing this challenge in the years to come.
Amazing. I can't wait to see what you get up to. And finally, Kavita, how will you take No New Clothes forward?
I am so excited to keep it going for next couple of months, you know, and I completely resonated when Jerin said that it's become a second nature. It happens with us when we, constantly think about it and do it. So how I'm going to continue? I'm going to continue mending clothes, and upcycling them very often, borrowing, swapping, renting, and making thrifting as my best friend. I'm going to stick to thrifting, fully. Organizing, reorganizing, rearranging my wardrobe so that, I'll find, so that I will know what I have, than changing the mindset, of knowing what I have than knowing what I don't have. So when we look at our wardrobe quite often, we also get a sense of, what we already have, and it gives us a kind of a satisfaction. So I'm going to do that very often. Mindful decluttering of my wardrobe. I have already unsubscribed all the promotional emails, so that it's a very good thing to unsubscribe from these mails, cut down on the visits to the malls. They can be tempting at times. Following the sustainable fashion influencers, on the social media, so that when we're scrolling down, when we come across their stories, their inspirations, the ads are, the advertisements which urge us to buy more are definitely getting cut down. So I have found out over the years, I found out my own, these tricks and tips, which I'm going to keep following, and hopefully we'll keep it on for the next 1 year to come.
Amazing. I love that energy. Everyone, please give a round of applause to our panelists. Please give yourself a pat on the back for taking the No New Clothes challenge. And we look forward to keeping the challenge rolling with you all. Now, in the spirit of the way that these things make a difference, I am going to call up onto the stage my colleague Alexa, who is here with an advocacy update for the Remake community, and it's going to share how you all have made a real difference in this past month and how you can continue that spirit going forward. Alexa.
Thanks, Em, and hi, everyone. So we've got some positive news to share with you all on one of our active campaigns. So last community call, we introduced a union busting case in Cambodia, which implicates Ventura Leatherware, a supplier for brands including Tory Burch, Coach, Michael Kors, and Fossil. And the case was brought to Remake by the Worker Friendship Union Federation, or WFUF, which reported that workers employed at Ventura were discriminated against in a number of ways for trying to legally form a new union and participate in its elections. So WFUF reported that 5 workers were wrongfully dismissed and prevented from renewing their contracts. Some were detained on factory premises, some faced threats and excessive monitoring by factory management after engaging in the union's activities. And the factory even attempted to sue one of WFUF's elected leaders. So these union busting tactics are classic retaliatory behavior used by factories to suppress worker rights. In this case, their freedom of association and collective bargaining rights. So since June, Remake has been engaging brands and the factory behind the scenes to escalate the reported issues, give space to the workers to speak directly to their demands, and then offer pathways toward remediation. And this is really because we know that brands with their power and influence as buyers have the leverage to advocate for the very people who make their products. So you all showed up last month to help us pressure coach Tory Burch, Michael Kors, and Fossil to act by tagging them on their socials. And I'm so happy to share today that through our collective efforts, 2 out of 3 of the workers' demands have been met since we first took on this case, which is really amazing. And those were first for Ventura to drop its legal complaints against WFUF's elected leader, and second, for the workers to be reinstated at the factory with back pay. So big round of applause to this incredible community. And just remember that these seemingly small actions do make such a huge difference when we act together. And also please know that WFUF and the impacted workers are so appreciative of your continued support. They've noted to us again and again that your solidarity has really empowered them to stand up for themselves and to continue fighting for workers throughout their community. So now we have one goal remaining, which is to get the union formally registered and accepted by Ventura. And this demand is so crucial to WFUF's ability to protect its worker members and to effectively advocate for their rights and better workplace conditions in the future. So today we've got a special action plan in New York City where our local ambassador community will be turning out to make one final appeal to the implicated brands to take this case over the finish line. So if you're in New York City and you want to learn how you can get involved, please reach out to Holly, our Senior Manager of Community Engagement, to learn more. And also look out for our action this week on our socials. And then lastly, you can follow this case progress on Remake's campaign page, which has just been dropped into the chat. So thank you again. Great job. Keep up the work, and thank you for your solidarity. And now I'll pass it to Allison to talk about our upcoming programming.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you to all of you guys for joining us today. My cheeks actually hurt from smiling so much on this call and hearing everybody's experiences. Before we hop on to the virtual programs that we have this month, I want to celebrate some of our standout ambassadors. You could also see their beautiful faces on the screen. And if you have somebody in your area or that you see online that you would like to nominate to be an ambassador superstar, I am dropping that form in the chat right now. So first off, I could sit here and talk for hours about Rebecca, one of Remake's UK community organizers. I truly don't think I've ever met anybody who exemplifies commitment to garment workers like Rebecca does. From speaking on panels to organizing actions in the streets to delivering letters to the Pakistani embassy, Rebecca's leadership, passion, and vision for a better, more just world is very, very inspiring. She really does fit the term fearless leader to a T. And following her, Jemima as well. She is our Remake University community organizer. And like Rebecca, she is one of the first people that I think of when I picture a leader in our community. Her skills for organizing people from around the globe, helping university students find and spread their voice, and her constant dedication to creating a better planet for everybody is extremely aspirational. And if you are in university or you have contacts in your university, please reach out to Jemima. I will drop her email in the chat right now. They do amazing work and they're in WhatsApp as well. Next, Jasmine. She is an Oakland-based ambassador who fully represents the well-being movement. Through her recent book, Financial Activist Playbook, she highlights how everyday people radically imagine money as a tool for their widespread well-being. She mentions Remake's Pay Up campaign in her book, and she is also spreading the Wear Your Values movement through her book tour. Jasmine she puts a spotlight on the problem of inequality and how each of us can make a difference on the individual level and together. Next up, Sarah. She has been one of our Florida community organizers for the past 2 years. She started the Florida Remake Hub on her own and has built a thriving community, helping to grow this movement through a bunch of different events, from clothing swaps to screenings to diving deeper into policy work, and being an integral part of spreading the word of the Fabric Act in her area, and on her Instagram, Florida Fabric Collective. From her support in Florida to Italy to virtual calls with the team, we are so grateful to have had her in our community. Everybody, please send Sarah some love as she steps out of her community organizer position and moves on to her next chapter in Italy. And then lastly, Melissa is a Seattle Beast ambassador. I see her on the call today too. And she's a superstar on the ground in her community, from sharing events to hyping up other ambassadors. Melissa's enthusiasm is felt and appreciated, not just in Seattle, but across our ambassador program. She's gotten involved in her hub by helping community organizers, Jaleesa and Van, with graphic design elements like social media posts and flyers. Thank you so much, Melissa, for your infectious energy and dedication to amplifying our collective efforts towards advocacy. And all these superstars make Remake's ambassador program what it is. So please give them a round of applause. Next up, September is a very busy month. If you're in New York City this week, we have not one, but 2 New York Fashion Week events happening. Tomorrow we have our fashion show, and there are, I think, like 5 tickets left. So if you're in New York and you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I would recommend getting them like now. And then towards the end of the week on Thursday, we are doing a Brandy Hellville screening and panel discussion featuring 3 of the cast members from the documentary, Aisha Barenblatt, Liz Ricketts from the OR Foundation, and journalist Alyssa Hardy. You can find more information on both of these events in the chat and also on Remake's website events page. And then we'll be closing out the month with a virtual program, Unpacking Fashion Policy, where we will be joined by Garment Worker Center and Senior Advocacy Manager Rebecca Coughlin. Through this program, we'll equip you with the tools that you need to use your voice to ensure that garment workers and impacted frontline communities are heard in any and all policy reform. So like I said, you can find all of those 3 events and a bunch more in-person ambassador events, Remake events on the website and on the Ambassador Hub. And before I hand it on over to Julie, I wanted to share one fabulous article that came out a few weeks ago. Tessa, if you want to go to the next slide, there we go. You could scan that QR code if you want to see the article directly, and then I will also drop it in the chat for everybody too. But this article was written by Iris Kim, and whether you're new to Remake or you've been on this journey with us for a while, Iris's story is an amazing recounting of everything that we can accomplish when we fight for change together. Plus, it also features some of our amazing West Coast ambassadors. So please give it a read, share it. It's a fabulous article. And that's all for me. I'm going to hand it on over to Julie.
Hi there. So the next slide is, so today it has been super encouraging and wonderful to hear from all of you and how you celebrated No New Clothes and really how you used it to invite people in to even like learn about like what they can do. It was just super inspiring. I am supporting Remake's building of educational and leadership opportunities. And first, I just want to say, acknowledge all of you for just always showing up, which has just been incredible. Today, I would also like to give a special congratulations to 4 change makers who put in the extra time and energy this summer to participate in the Remake Fashion Certificate. The Remake Fashion Certificate is a professional level resource that was created in partnership with and sponsored by the Martini Education and Opportunity Trust and the Nomadic Leadership Academy. The learner journey was created as a pathway that really centers the garment worker and makes the link between fashion's biggest challenges and the communities who are most impacted, really to look at women's empowerment issues side by side with the environmental impacts of the apparel and textile industry. It is now 2 years since the launch of the Remake Fashion Certificate, and close to 300 professional development certificates have been earned from between Elevating Equity, Design Thinking, and the Remake Fashion Certificate. So thank you to all of you who have participated from across the United States and Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, India, the Philippines, Brazil, the UK, Ireland, Italy, Spain, France, Portugal, the Netherlands, and even Nigeria. I don't think I've missed some, but I could, and it's been an incredible global community exchanging their ideas. all bringing your own lived experience and your creative thinking and sharing stories for really building the kind of connection that will lead to transformative change and working within your schools, your workplaces, and in the community at large. So today we would like to celebrate 4 summer 2024 graduates: Molly Amatangelo, Amani Baudet, Paris Adibonya, and Paula Elwing Torres. Thank you all for your contributions. You just made the conversation actually led to action within the course itself. It helps us at Remake understand what is needed in the community to be the change makers that you are. And Remake is really building a connected ecosystem of change makers, and there are so many ways to get involved. As Allison has shared, for September alone, we just have so many ways that you can participate. And do remember to look at Remake's website, the Ambassador Hub, and the Slack channels. We have a really exciting lineup going forward.
Thank you all so much. We look forward to an incredibly exciting month ahead. We can't wait to see you all, whether it's here in New York during Fashion Week or online. As Julie and Allison mentioned, check the events page, the hub, and the Slack for all the ways you can tap into the Remake community. If you're not on the hub and the Slack yet, we are dropping in the information about how you can get added to that in the chat for you as well. And we'll see you same time, same place next month. Bye, everyone. Take care. Talk soon.
Have a great rest of your day.